I dragged myself out. I said I must attend it, and and I know because there's going to be a treat of acting in this. This is our team of actors, and they always do a skit. So I don't know what to expect. So I'm going to have a lot of fun here. So I want to thank you all for keeping us entertained all the time, and all the best to you all for this 29th Diligent Dillenidae Remedies enacting. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Friends, welcome again to the 29th webinar, sort of. I'll talk about the current issue. Current issue is based on the May month issue is based on remedy relationship. And see the coincidence. The speakers of today's webinar are related with each other. Related. They are mother-daughter duo.
I thought you were, how are you going to add your relationship?
Yes, I will. And I have. One sitting in UK, another in Chennai. And I'm also related with them. Yes, I'm the skit partner. So,
skit family. You want to be related, you have to say family.
Skit family. So, I welcome Dr. Rama Hariharan and Dr. Anjali to this webinar. And both of them will be talking simultaneously. So, Dr. Rama, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you, Dr. Vishpala. And I'll ask Anjali to start with the introductions. And just to belay your expectations, Dr. Vishpala, there is going to be no skit here.
And go back to sleep.
There's too much of material.
Welcome, everyone. Yes, so as Dr. Vishpala was saying, we are used to doing a lot of skits, especially with our wonderful third partner, Dr. Satish over there. And we have entertained many NJH webinars and seminars. But this time we thought we would be a little bit more intellectual. We thought we would.
That's serious.
Yes, be a little bit more serious because the topic that we have picked is that. So diligent. So I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, what is this word diligent? You may have heard it in class. You may have studied it when you were in school. But this word defines this group of remedies. So diligent being those who are conscientious, those who are hardworking, and those who are dedicated. There are many of us today in the NJH team who are present today, and those not present today as well, who all come under this category of diligent. So just because we are diligent, we need not be Dillenidae. And what is Dillenidae? Dillenidae is a group of remedies. And it is a group of remedies that is specific to a part of a chart that Dr. Rama will talk about later. And this is a massive group that has so many remedies in there. And we cannot do justice to all these remedies in such a short time. So we will be giving you a kind of trailer. So in terms of the theatrical aspect that Dr. Vishpala really enjoys, you will see a little bit of trailers of some of the main remedies that are in this group. And we will describe one of them in detail with Dr. Rama sharing a beautiful case about that. So with no further ado, let us start this massive topic. So like Saraswati is still swimming in this sea of knowledge, we will be diligent in our learning of the Dillenidae.
Wonderful, Anjali. Thank you for that lovely introduction of the Dillenidae family. So this is part of the plant kingdom. Why this Dillenidae? This particular picture actually is the whole theme of this webinar today. This is the mother pulling her 3 children. They're all enjoying themselves in the park. Please keep this picture in mind because we're going to travel this journey of this Dillenidae all the way. So why this Dillenidae? First of all, I want to thank Dr. Vishpala because she has been the inspiration for this. Even at this age, to be a diligent student is what we have all learned. You are our inspiration. Thank you, ma'am, for this fantastic journey that you helped us in. And reading the NJH journals regularly has also been part of this whole journey. So I would like to start with how this thing came about. This is based on Mikhail Yakir's plant chart. Mikhail Yakir being a renowned evolutionary botanist and also has been interested in homeopathy for the last 10 years or so, and has put together a chart of plants that talks on the evolution of the plants with our remedies, homeopathic remedies. And Dr. Mahesh Gandhi, with his PEM understanding, has added to this and incorporated it and made this a much larger and more universal by adding the Erik Erikson's human stages of development to it, and also adding PEM here stands for personal evolution method. And he also has added the 4 elements, earth, water, air, fire. So that which is a universal substance that governs everything on this earth, on this planet, and also the basic yin and yang, the female and the male principles. So this becomes a very holistic way of looking at our remedies. So what homeopathy truly stands for, I think this is where we start with this. Now, Dillenidae being in the plant king, the element ruling this whole class column of plants is the element water. It is water being feminine and representing love, care, affection, nurturing, and nourishment. So let's start and let's go on this journey of Dillenidae. So this is the plant chart. So let me start. This looks very complicated, but it's quite simple to understand. On the left vertical axis, we have the human stages of development of Erik Erikson. So you have womb, infancy, toddler, early childhood, school age, adolescence, young adult, mature adult, and old age. And in the horizontal axis, we begin with this, the first line horizontally, which says not here, here, there, separation from womb, separation from mother, I and the other, I and the group. Please remember, it is how we as human beings are developing. So when we are not here, we are still conception and then in the womb. Here and there is still in the womb and then coming out. With the next one is a separation from the womb. You're in the mother's arms, and then you come directly into the infancy stage. Then I and the other when you start going to school and college, and then you start working, and then it's I and the group. So this is the way so it's a vertical axis and a horizontal axis. The next line over there, it says gestation. So the feminine, and after birth is the masculine. So if you look at it in the plant chart, the feminine aspect covers 1, 2, 3, 4, so much of these columns are covered by the feminine aspect. Then if we look at the elements, we have air and water. We need air and water for matter to form, and then earth where the matter gets consolidated, and then fire for the fetus to come out, then water when it is in the with the infancy, the mother. Then after birth, you need to move on, and so you need a masculine element and a father, and so on. If we look at the names of the columns of the plant chart here, Magnolidae, so that is what we call subclass 1. Then becomes Hamamalidae, which is subclass 2. Then Caryophyllae, which is subclass 3. Dillenidae, today's topic, is subclass 4. Rosidae, subclass 5. And Asteridae, subclass 6. So these are the names of the columns, just like how we have it in the periodic table. Similarly, we have the Magnolidae line, the Hamamalidae line, the Caryophyllae line, the Dillenidae line, the Rosidae line, and the Asteridae line. So today we are dealing with the Dillenidae line. So the womb stage, the first one, the womb stage has 2 big families of remedies, the Dilleniales and the Thiales. That's what we're going to deal with at the beginning. And then comes the infancy stage of Saraceniales and Ebenales. Later on will come the Malvales, which is a very important part of the this particular order of plants, which a lot of people know about. It's a very popular series. Then we come to Primulales, then Ericales, then Cucurbitales, Caparales, and Salicales. So this is the journey that we are going to do today. So let's start. Like Anjali said, it's only going to be a sampling because the platter is very wide, very large. But since we learned a lot and we have used it a lot in the clinic, we thought we need to share this with our colleagues. So what are the issues of this column 4? This column 4 issues are, fetus is born and now is in the mother's arms. So the entire journey is the infant being in the mother's arms. So mother and child relationships are prominent, issues of mothering. And when this mother's love and care nourishment is not there, immediately, who will take care of me? With whom shall I share my sorrows? That is the burning question. And when something happens to whom they're dependent upon for love, care, and nourishment, it could be a mother-like figure, it need not be mother herself. It can be a spouse, it can be parents, it can be friends, it can be grandparents. Please remember, when we are talking of the vertical left column, we are talking of the human stages of development, which is your inner age. Anjali, can we just go back to the chart? Sorry for this. I think it's important to put this right here. Yeah. So we're talking of this left column, the womb, infancy, the stages of human development. Now, this is what we call the inner age. This will come about when we as human beings, and if we are dealing with the issues at hand and how we respond to it, that gives us, colors our inner age. Irrespective of what outer age you could be 70, you could be 50, but if you are still responding like an infant, then you are in an infancy stage. So here in the column 4 of the Dillenidae, how the person responds to the issues, if they belong to this column, and how they respond to the issues of motherhood, of nutrition, nourishment, love, care, and affection, will decide what is their inner age and where they are in this plant chart. Because how we come to the remedy is the left axis of the inner age of development, the right axis being which family they are, and the where it joins, the junction is where the remedy is. So in that family, then you hit upon the mayasa, and then you arrive at the exact remedy. Thank you, Anjali. So who will take care of me? And from there comes this extreme forsaken feeling, and immediately magnesium comes up. But magnesium are very repressed. They never quarrel, and they will do anything to never lose that relationship. So there is no question of losing a relationship. So what happens now in Dillenidae? How are they different? Let's see. So nurturing, maturing. So Dillenidae as a family are very simple trees. First, let's look into nature. They're very simple trees. In this family, they contain lots of ovules and very poor in alkaloids. So therefore, nurturing, mature is very, very important. This is the central theme of Dillenidae. Good relationships with immediate family, they will always please everybody. This attachment, this connection, very important. And when it prematurely disconnects, all issues start. So why is this emotion so important? Because we are human beings. We are part of the animal world. We are part of the mammalian world. And we connect with the outside world through emotions. And this emotions is nurtured where? At home, by your parents, by your people around you, your family. And therefore, the stability and support of the family in the initial stages of life is so important. They also, because of being in the 4th subclass, there is an increased responsibility of the family. They are attached to the family and they want to do everything for the family. And this feminine element can be very demanding as we go down the column. And towards the end of the column, they're just burdened by this giving, and the materialistic and taking attitude of the rest of the family. And they then are wanting to give up and don't want this anymore. So if we compare it to the periodic table, this is the natrum line. Very easy to understand. Natrum, as everybody knows, unconditional love. And when there's lack of it, all the problems begin. So the themes in this column 4 of Dillenidae is giving, receiving, trust, mistrust, wants to be cared, clinging to mother in earlier rows, and then will care for others and very motherly nature in the later rows. So insecurity, and therefore the clinginess, because they need the repeated reassurance. This is the natrum mode line. So end of the column, the mure element starts taking over. The masculine element comes to the fore. Then they're bitter, they're tired of giving. They don't want to give anymore. They don't want to trust anybody anymore. And they become into themselves. And that's when the masculine element starts, because they're getting ready for the next subcolumn, which requires the masculine. So if you have to remember Dillenidae, This mnemonics will help you a lot. Do you want to read it out, Anjali?
So here, when we talk about Dillenidae, we talk about the dual relationship that we have, this mother and child. Now, we don't always be mother, can be whoever is the main caregiver for this person. The immense capacity that they have for caring. They are very loving to others, but also this desire to be loved. And this is a big core of who and what Dillenidae really are. Emotionally, they always feel neglected. From a nourishment and nutrition point of view, there is an issue. So on an emotional level, there is no nourishment. On a physical level also, there is no nourishment. And this then goes into the imbalance affecting the hormones of these people. There's a lot of domestic issues over here. They are docile, they are dormant, they have no fire element, remember. So there's no shouting, there is no fighting, there is no war here. It's always being soft, being gentle, and diligently continuing their work. This ability to give and receive, they have their issues with that, and that equilibrium and balance in those issues is what then leads to pathology, which we will see later in the following remedies.
So once again, to look at the chart. So we are going to start with the womb stage. This is column 4, the Dillenidae, so dilineals and thiales. This is the womb stage of this. So a very big representative example of this would be the flower hypericum. Now, hypericum being in the womb stage, their development is not very high, especially the nervous system. So there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of sensitivity towards the environment, and therefore you have this injury to sentient nerves very easily. And they cannot bear pain because they're completely passive. No, they're in the womb stage, they're in the mother's arms. So the reaction is very violent and immediately want to get out of this whole thing. That is hypericum. That's why it is so different from arnica, which is much later. Then you have the saracenials and the nepenthes. Now, this is in the oral stage. Now, this is a double oral stage. So their inner age is also infancy and the column is also infancy. So both together are infancy. So this is infancy plus infancy. So they are growing in a very acidic soil. They need nutrition, high nutrition, and so they trap animals. So they have this animal qualities of luring and trapping for their nutrition. They have no good childhood. They're very lonely and depressed, no warmth at all, no affection at all. And you can see it in Drosera, which always feels has the delusion that is being deceived by the near and dear ones. And then we come to our fantastic, beautiful, large family called the malwhales. This need to prove themselves. They are in the toddler group and the early childhood group. So that is their left axis, and the vertical axis is the infancy. So in the toddler group, they always want to prove themselves. They cling and they want immediate gratification. And in the early childhood, they have a lot of curiosity, lot of initiative. And when this clashes with the Dillenidae line of nourishment, nutrition, you have themes of attachment, detachment, feeling alone, forsaken. They want fun, they want love, they want food. And yet at the same time, they would like to explore. There is a love for animals and insects, and yet there's a fear of them. They're very, very gentle folks. The water element is very high. Please remember, in malwhales, water is 100%. This is the 100% feminine family. Then the diligency is there because this is early childhood also. And the toddler wants to keep on trying. And because of the diligence, they also can become very early into motherhood, precocious. They take over the role, become surrogate mothers very easily. But because they are lacking in emotional maturity, this leads to a lot of lack of confidence, inactivity, and inability. And the disorders here start with digestion because of the nutrition line, and because of the feminine line, there's a lot of hormonal issues in pregnancy and nursing. So we come to the first remedy in the malwhales, the hibiscus. This is there in everybody's garden, everybody's balcony. And in traditional household, traditionally it has always been used to strengthen your hair. And hair, yes, is the big issue over here, alopecia. Now, this is again toddler, early childhood, infancy, The miasm here is typhoid. So you would be encountering patients who come to you and this hair is not over here, it is fallen, doctor. Can you see it over here? And they'll make a big thing about it and they'll tell you about how many shampoos they've changed, how many oils they have changed, how many skin parlors they've gone to, beauty parlors, they've done this massage, they've done this yoga, they've done that. So much of things they will do to get over this very quickly, because hair is very important to your ego, to your looks, and they want to get out of it very quickly. Alopecia in whatever form, whether it is small hair fall all the way up to areata, all the way up to totalis. If there is a fear of spiders, if they are in the malveils group, please try hibiscus, Abel moschus, and you will find good results. We've done many cases and have had very, very good results with this. Then next comes Abroma augusta. This is again a very Indian plant. Here is the only malveil that has a fire element. So they can be very quarrelsome, very angry. The leaves and stems actually of this plant are covered with soft and prickly hairs. So they always have prickly and irritant all the time. So their family situation is also very prickly and they're also very irritable. They're hindered and troubled by the ones whom they're most attached to. You might have given lyco to them, you might have given bryonia to them, you would have given sulfur to them. In diabetes, with this kind of a background of being hindered and troubled by the one they're most attached to, and therefore the malarial miasm in the malveil family, please try Abroma augusta. Next, we have Gossypium. This is the flower of the cotton plant. India is the largest exporter of cotton, and this must be ubiquitous in our country. We haven't taken it on as yet in a big way, but I think the time will come when it will become a big remedy with us. They're very soft people. They can be obese and soft like calcarea, or very tall and slim like sepia and phosphorus. They have a lot of PCOD issues, infertility issues, and they're the ones who very diligently will start on new diets, new set of exercises to lose all that weight, to get over the PCOD. And then after some time, they give up. And then they will start again. So this is the typical ringworm miasm. And Gossypium will work beautifully if they also are coming under the malveils, diligency, love, care, affection, nutrition, childhood, if they haven't got enough of it in their childhood. Tilia europa. This is a very, very important remedy in the malveils family. We tend to miss it a lot. This is the two things that you should always remember about Tilia. First, the flowers the leaves all have heart shaped, and the flowers, the trees are short but have very thick, dense, and they all are very close to each other. Even as trees, they are very close to each other. This closeness of the family, this working together for family togetherness is very, very important in Tilia europa. They will accept their situation. This is a typical lovesick person. It's like one good example would be a middle-aged housewife who would have come and would be feeling when you keep probing, and then she'll talk about this alcoholic husband of hers, and she says, what to do? He's like that, and she'll be very soft about it, and then she'll talk about this ideal situation, the ideal man, and she'll be always in that world of the ideal man and feel more and more isolated. But she will continue to work and do anything to keep that family together. And we would have given natrums, we would have given magnesiums, ignatia, and pulsatilla for this very soft, very gentle and lovesick family person, Tilia europa. Please try. Then we have Cistus canadensis, the very, very chilly remedy. This is the cold air cannot be tolerated in the upper respiratory system. The least cold air will send the throat, ears, nose, everything for a toss. They will nurse the family to the utmost, even forgetting themselves. But they have a lot of suppressed anger and grief towards them, which they will never, never talk about. And the least cold air will affect them. They also have this peculiarity that wherever is the pathology, that area will feel very cold. And if somebody puts them down, dominates them, their glands will get affected, either the cervical glands, or it could be the breast glands, or it could be the ovaries, or it could be the uterus. So So much like Staphylococcus aureus, but the Staphylococcus has a very high ego and very timid and is in subclass 1, where they're not well developed at all. Whereas here, because of being in subclass 4, they are well developed, but the primary importance and attachment to the family super rules and overrules everything. And they will do anything for the family despite this suppressed anger. Very, very chilly. The rock rose of the bark flower remedies. Chocolate. This actually is what is the signature of the Malvaceae family. They're also called the chocolate family. This is a combination of animals and plant remedies. Cocoa plant of the Malvaceae family. Saccharum officinalis, sugar of the poales, the grasses. Milk from the lactifluolatum, the cow's milk. So all three, when they come together, they're forming chocolate. Chocolate is made from the Belgian dark chocolate. And it's so strange that all the three, cocoa, the Malvaceae family, saccharum, the grass family, and the cow family, everybody needs to belong. Needing to belong is the theme of all three. So the need to belong in chocolate is maximum in the Malvaceae family. They are lovesick differently from Telia. Here, they will cling because of the psychotic miasm. They cannot let go. That is what sets chocolate apart from Telia. Then we have the kola nut, which is used to be called sterculia also. This is, they begin with a lot of desires to provide for the family quickly. They want to do a lot of work. They want to do a lot of businesses. They go to a lot of ventures to provide for this family because of this great attachment to the family. And therefore that insatiability, but unfortunately don't have the capacity because they are the toddler and early childhood on one side and infancy on the other side. The capacity is not there. So the businesses turn into failures, the ventures turn into failures. So from social failure, business failure, they come into personal failures. They take to addiction, drugs, alcohol. And then when finally, when the family too rejects them, they are completely broken. And they hate themselves and they even think of suicide. That's how this leprosy miasm comes in. And this is to be differentiated from curicus, which is usually given, the oak tree, which is usually given for addiction. But kola nut is a huge remedy for addiction. Please think about it when you have somebody from the Malvaceae family in the leprosy miasm. We come back to the chart. And so we have come up to Malvaceae, we finished Dillenidae, we finished the womb stage, we finished infancy and the Sarracenius epidemics, we finished early childhood toddler with the Malvaceae. Now we come lower down and we come to the primulales. If you look, the primulales is in the center of this chart. They're adolescent, and they are the center. They are neither children nor are they adults. They're in between. And as adolescents, they want their freedom. And any limit to that creates a lot of problems for them. They're not ready for adulthood. So they have this, as adolescents, image is a big issue. You know, one pimple, oh my God, how will I go for this? What will they think? What will my friends say? They have a lot of eating disorders. This is the age to eat. And they go out and with all their, but they are attached to the family. So the duty to the family is important. And when they come back, they're very sad and extremely guilty. Guilt is a huge factor here in the primulales. And the first of it starts in the Malvaceae, in the Dillenidae line starts in the primulales. Still 100%, from 100%, they've moved a little. There's a little masculine element here. And therefore, they're able to move out of the house and try and enjoy. So they want to explore, but they don't like responsibility. And so therefore they have all these pains and aches and they want to move, but they feel very pressurized and low, crippled and lame and heavy. And I can't do it. Oh, I can't. You would have heard of it in college, you know. Hey, why aren't you coming for the party? I can't, yeah, my leg is paining, because they would have told their mom, no, I'm not going out. This responsibility, this duality of responsibility and duty, and yet want to go out. And that's what creates the primulales. This is what creates their dilemma. And the big example here is cyclamen. Everybody knows this, the chili pulsatilla. But pulsatilla has no guilt. Cyclamen has a lot of guilt because of this attachment to the family. And then they feel very bad about it and sad about it, and they hate themselves for it. And that's how they come into the leprous miasm. We would have given Ignatia, we would have given nature more, but guilt comes, guilty, conscience comes in, please think of cyclamen if you think they're 100%, a little less than 100% feminine, and in the Dillenidae family. Then we have the ethics. Now we have moved down the order. This is now mature adult. The responsibility of the family has increased. They are more and more, they give with more and more benevolence. They want to give as much as possible to the family. They want everybody in the family to grow well. But this burden starts becoming a burden to them because there are no acknowledgement happening. They feel unsupported, they feel rejected and isolated, and they become bitter. But they still remain in the family because the feminine element is still very strong. There's very little of the masculine element, 20%, 10%, 20%. But a large part is still the feminine element. So the attachment to the family remains hugely over here. The big PQRS here is changeability. Because of this feminine element still being strong, there's a lot of changeability in their symptoms, but the sensations will remain the same. Unlike Berberidaceae family, where there's a changeability in locations as well as symptoms. So this is what typically there's a burden of carrying. It's beginning to become a load now. This family, the first picture you saw of how she was pulling the children happily in the park. Now the family has become like a load of bricks that she has to forcibly carry. They're bitter. Nobody's bothered. Nobody's giving them any appreciation. So we come to the first of these called Gaultheria, which is wintergreen is a very, very, very popular component of all massage oils across the board. And joint pains for them, they usually come into it after long use of painkillers because they want to quickly get rid of the pain and continue working for the family. And after a long time, they have GI tract, they have acidity comes in, they have kidney issues. And because they are trying to do so much and yet they're not successful, neither at the pain level nor in the family, nobody's giving them any reciprocation of their love and care that they are giving. And this is the typhoid miasm. So they want quick relief, joint pains better with warmth and heat. Gaultheria, we tend to miss it and we end up giving Rustox. Please look again. If you have this bitterness, please look at Gaultheria. It's a wonderful remedy. Then we have Chimaphila ambulata. Now, this is a wonderful remedy because this is one of the rare remedies in this Dillenidae family that has a happy childhood. The childhood has been happy, but once they move into the family, then they're full of desires. They want to enjoy all aspects of family, but the responsibility and the burden of looking after the family starts becoming overpowering. And they will try to control it, but they're unable to control it. This is the cancer miasm. It has gone beyond their control. And that's when all the pathology starts. It's also very well known. If you look at the flowers, they look like the breast. So these are a lot of women with large breasts who end up with a lot of breast issues, even all the way up to breast tumors and cancers. They have a lot of UTI, kidney, bladder problems, and we have to differentiate it from uva-ursi. Next in this is the Leadenthal. Everybody knows this. This is the these have very strong, the flowers have very strong scents, beautiful, pretty looking flowers that have a very strong smell, and they attract a lot of bees and insects. So insect bite is a big theme of Leadenthal. And also they have penetrating wounds, like a nail stuck into your tissue. And here they get stuck, and like the penetrating wound, they're stuck in the past. And this past very unpleasant events and penetrating events. So it could be also ailments from rape, sexual assault, stabbing. So please don't only look at it as bites. This is a huge remedy, which a very large remedy. Please look at it in a little more detail. They are a hot patient and they become very bitter because whatever they do to the family never seems to be sufficient. So they become a lot like nature mode. They are reserved, lonely, sad, just don't want to do much. And they want to take revenge, but they're very, very timid and they do not have the wherewithal. And they're very different from Hypericum because here the wound area is cold. A whole area is cold and it's better by cold. Whereas Hypericum is just the opposite. Then they don't like themselves towards the end, and that's when the leprosy miasm sets in a big way. And become like natrum and nag, but it's actually ledum. This is uva ursi, a big remedy for UTI, very much like staph in that sense. All their issues come after coition, a lot of burning, but they're very attached to the family, unlike staph. Staph is a subclass one, no borders. It's all about me, I, me, myself. Whereas in uva ursi, there's a lot about the family. They are big caretakers, but since there is no reciprocation, they end up with some pathology. The tuberculomycin, it's a repeated pathology that keeps coming. Then we have rhododendron, very pretty looking flowers. This is coming under the psychotic miasm. We all know it as ailments, joint pains from thunderstorms, but it's beyond just the outside thunderstorm. They have a very bad childhood. They have not been given enough love and nurture and affection. And so they end up not having a good emotional quotient. So any little incident in life that upsets them becomes like a storm. And that storm then sets them all kinds of complaints. They have very important remedies for anger, from ailments from anger, scorned, humiliation, death of parents, death of very close friends. These are all stormy incidents in their life. And this stormy incidents triggers off a lot of joint pains for them. They become very guilty because of very high responsibilities very early in life, but they are not able to fulfill. And that's what they feel very guilty about. But they're very timid and keep it to themselves. So any emotional crisis, they become stormy. All kinds of pains are there in rhododendron. All kinds of pains are there in rhododendron. Zigzag, descending, rapidly changing, paralyzing, but they're very chilly remedy. Very much like rust tops, chilly, cold and damp aggravates. But do remember, stormy incidents, storm in their lives, which rust tops does at. So let's come to a case now. We will talk of a case. Oops. This is a case. This is a long case, and I thought this would give you a nice 360 degrees view of the Ericaceae family. So this lady's refrain used to be, who is there for me? This was a lady born in the 70s. She was born in a large joint family, 3 generations of maternal side, business family. At age 2, her younger sister was born, and very soon after, her father died in an accident. And by 14, she had stopped going to school because her periods were getting to be unmanageable. And she wasn't even interested in studies, and nobody was there to guide her. So she just remained at home and helped in the cooking and the kitchen. At 17, she got married, which was the custom in their kind of families. Got married to a very educated husband, but he was very traditional in outlook. By 19, she gave birth to a child, and by 20, her younger sister eloped with a cousin. Now, this was a huge turning point in her life. She was actually betrothed to her husband's brother, but that sister eloped with another cousin. And our patient was unaware that she was pregnant till she was almost 7 months, and became very indifferent even to the first child, because continuously she was insulted, bombarded physically, mentally, emotionally by all her in-laws. In fact, she was even hit by somebody in her in-laws, and her right ear hearing has gone down by 60% even today. By 21, after delivery, she had malaria and typhoid. By 22, she was diagnosed with diabetes and hypertension, and the in-laws' insults continued unabated. By 31, she ended up with an enlarged heart, palpitations, because there were some business issues. There was not enough jewels for her daughter's menarche, which is a big ceremony in their community. And by 33, her joint pain started because of her sister stopped talking to her, and there were some property fights. By 35, she had chikungunya, and by 36, her father-in-law died. Now, he was the only one who was actually on her side and who encouraged her, but he was very timid. And this ended up with hypothyroid when he too died. Then her mother-in-law came to stay with them, and like all mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, never got along, and that added to her tensions. And soon all her joints started paining, and movement became, she wanted to move, and she wanted to keep doing for the family. That keep doing for the family continued. She was extremely diligent because somehow she wanted to keep the family together. That was her big goal in life. By 37, her husband got transferred. Now he was in a government job and he got transferred. And because of the children's schooling, she didn't go. So she felt nobody to support her. All her joint pains increased, migraine started, right hand numbness started. Now all the pains started becoming worse in the mornings, with continued movement. But all her RA tests were negative at this stage. Then there were some property disputes again. And again, she felt cheated and anger, which was suppressed. Now, when she also started having migraines and upper respiratory, she started having sinusitis. Now, whenever she was tense or angry, she had chest pain, which extended to her hand with numbness of the fingers. Later, when the property dispute settled, there were no pains. This was like magic for her. Next, she was shocked again and cheated again in a huge financial debacle when she had lent money to somebody and they never returned it. So she was unable to trust now anybody and was crying daily. And she had different kinds of headaches now. BP and sugar, everything shot up. And some diarrheas also came. And sleep went for a toss. She needed sleeping tablets now, or even a daily sleep. Now the anxiety, constant anxiety. How will I go to repay this money? Some more relatives started cheating her. And how she was a very rich lady. So how will I repay this was her biggest constant worry, and very, very guilty because she had not shared anything with her husband who was still away. All her problems, all her physical ailments started coming all together. And there was a real fear because her daughters were now coming into end of school age. So they were all getting ready to get married. So this fear, oh my God, what will others think of her daughters if this is her state of financial issues? She always felt, again, despite doing good to others, in the end, I take the blame and a bad name comes to my husband. This was what she was doing all the time. Then there was an MTP and no rest again after the procedure because she's all the time working. There are always guests in the family. And all her joint pains started increasing, the more swelling happening, more stiffness, more pains in the morning. Mornings started becoming very difficult for her. None of these pains were constant. They would come and go. And the feeling of loneliness and abandonment started becoming more and more. Her husband and mother-in-law, whenever he came, they would want her to do a lot of work. He would want her to make special dishes so that he could carry it back with him to his place. And whenever they could comment on her, but whenever she would say something, it was never accepted. So she was always hurt that everybody was taking advantages of her, and even her husband, and not grateful at all. And she'd cry all alone. At 40, she had another MTP, and this time there were lots of headaches, hair fall. Nobody looks after my welfare. Only I have to look after everybody. This refrain kept on and on. I had given her a whole host of medicines by now, beginning with carcinosin, lots of bowel nosodes, lignatia, nitamine, you name it. It's all there. The anger, suppressed anger remedies, lots of flower remedies. Nothing helped her. Everything was temporary. And she'd come back again and again to her refrain. Then she didn't come for many years. After 10 years, she came again last December. And she came after total hysterectomy with the same family situation, but her elder daughter had got married and had come back home, was separated. Now she was getting ready for the second daughter's wedding, by which time vitiligo had also started coming. And now she said, look, I'm very tired and this feverishness and this joint pain, just do something for these pains, please. So I gave her malaria optionalis finally. I said, somewhere we have to start. There were some marginal improvements, and then she wasn't there because she went to join her husband, and then she came back after several months. And then she said, my husband is coming this weekend. Again, this torture is going to start. And this palpitation, chest pain, heaviness of the left arm, mentally very, very tired. I'm constantly trying to please everybody. Still, there is nobody for me. How long do you think I will go on like this? And I felt very bad for her. And I again looked at the case, by which time I was doing these classes and looking into the Dillenidae family. And I said, my God, maybe there was something here. So what are the themes of this case? Wants to do for the family, but doesn't get any acknowledgement for them. She's very, very bitter. There's a strong forsaken feeling since childhood, which continues. Never felt nurtured by anyone, though there were 3 generations of women in that family. Disappointed with marriage, with verbal, physical abuse that continued for several years. She enjoys cooking for everybody. That was her passion. Several dishes she will cook, even for a single meal, depending on what everybody wanted. She'd always come with something special. This is what I made for you, doctor. This is always what you'd come. And she would always needed support for any financial decision. She was disappointed and lonely, nobody to talk to, scared of her husband admonishing her, couldn't share anything with him, very suppressed anger, anticipatory anxiety, aversion to do anything, though wants to do so much for the family, very naive, sympathetic to the sufferings and pains of others, gives money, food, etc. indiscriminately. This money is not, mind you, in hundreds of thousands, this was in lakhs. And therefore, the financial mess that she landed in, I had even given her aurum at one point, and nothing helped her. So this trust and distrust issues started in a huge way. Next, Anjali. Next one, Anjali. Then we look at the physicals. Every part of her body, there was some issue, beginning with metabolic disorders, endocrine disorders. Excuse me, Anjali. Hello? Anjali? Connection is lost. Sorry. Hello.
No, it's there. It's coming
Okay.
on. You're not maybe able to see it. Just keep
Okay.
going. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah.
So
If you want, I'll take over.
yeah, can you please?
Yeah, no problem. So the physical aspects of the case over here, in terms of the pathology that's happening, there was IDTM, there was hypertension, the enlarged heart, the thyroid has been affected. She's gone into hypothyroid. Her sleep disorders has given her insomnia. With all these emotional issues, she's gone into depression, and the headaches. The headaches have also spread into a right facial neuralgia, has affected her vision as well. She had a lot of hazy vision with floaters. And of course, this palpitation, because of the enlarged heart, there's this palpitation, the chest pain that's going to the left arm. On the hormonal issues, before her hysterectomy, she had profuse painful menses. She had gone through 6 pregnancies, of which 4 of them she had terminated. She only actually gave birth to 2 children, and both were cesarean sections. She had very little recovery after each of these. Her irregular stools, there was lots of joint pain, and these are all extending downwards. On the skin level, what started off as dermatitis then proceeded to vitiligo. On the generals level, all her problems were worse in the morning, and as the exertion increased. Whenever she rested, there was definitely some amelioration. There was numbness and swelling in her joints, and these very kind of typical pains, the words twisting, pressing, tearing, wandering, and bruised were used. And these were not constant. And though they were extending downwards, they were always better for hot applications. She was very benevolent to her family, but still her voice and tone would always come across as being really rough and curt and tense. She didn't have a soft voice, even though her heart was very soft. In her past history, there was chickenpox, there was typhoid, malaria, chikungunya, and the strong family history of heart ailments, of diabetes, thyroid, and asthma. Now, she was a hot patient, even though she was better with hot applications, and lots of remedies like the arsenic remedies never really worked for her. She loved spice, she loved fish, and she loved hot food as well. There was this slight contradiction that was happening in this case. As we were working the case, we found there was this high feminine element with a poor masculine element. But still the desire to take on all these duties of the family. This showed us that this was in the mature adult stage of development, because she was not shying away from responsibility. She was happy to take on these responsibilities. She was very generous to her family. So benevolent is another word for generous, but in a very kind way. So very generous to her family, very sensitive to the needs and the pains of others. But slowly this bitterness started because nobody was looking after her. She kept doing all the caring and there was no reciprocation at all. And this accumulated within her, the anger and the resentment towards the family. And as this accumulated, this anger, it started drying up that water element, that love within her. And the fire element starts increasing. And this we can see reflected in the deep pathology that she starts developing. For all those of you who now have an idea of what this might be, feel free to type your options in the chat box. And so we can see if you are also working this case along with us, And you have also followed this family along with us to figure out where in this family we are able to place this wonderful patient, this long history of suffering that she has had. Let us see where this takes us. Back to Dr. Rama.
This high sensitivity and reactivity was part of the plant kingdom. There were no structural issues here. It was not there was no inadequacy. She was just wanting to give love and get love. No competition, no hierarchy, not animal kingdom at all. Here, forsaken, not nurtured enough, but desire to nurture all with responsibility willingly done at first, but now bitter because of no recognition of her efforts, resulting in heart and endocrine issues. And of course, the joints, wandering neuralgias and joint pains, which were intermittent, which extended downwards, better heart application. This was a beautiful match of the subclass 4 Dillenidae family, mature adult stage of development, Ericales family, malarial miasm, Calmia latifolia. Carcinosin was close, ma'am. I had given it and it didn't work. And it was not cucurbitales, it's still Ericales. So she was not working outside the house, she's still working inside the house. Next. So few doses of Calmia and what a transformation. My God, no panic, no anxiety, ready to please everybody. Negative vibrations are coming, going, it doesn't bother her at all. All pains have become mild. She's sleeping very well. And most important, her tone became so soft. This would never have happened if it wasn't the simillimum. And to top it all, she's getting up at 6, like how she used to earn much, much earlier in her younger days. She prayed and she said, I didn't know the meaning of prosperity and its value. And now I would like it for all. I'm blessed. I'm not cursed at all. That was her parting words. That was a couple of months ago, and she's fine. I haven't repeated the remedy at all since then. So this is what I would like to share with you. So what was Calmia as a materia medica? Compromising her life, living where there is no love. Accumulates this anger and resentment, but never shows it. She's hindered by the people whom she wants to be loved by the most. Her family, her husband, her children, her in-laws. Nobody loves her. That's why the malarial miasm, with repeated wandering joint pains, extending left side, better heat, though being a hot patient, stiff, rigid, and paralyzed. Cucurbitale, later on. We'll come to that, ma'am. Padmaja, we'll come to that. So now we come to the next family in this series, which is the cucurbitales. Your question will be answered here, Padmaja ma'am. So cucurbitales is the mature adult, and this is a huge family of remedies that all of us have been using in a big way. This is the gourd family. They're commercially grown large fruits. No? They're vines that spread along the ground. They're climbers and creepers, and they need the support of the ground. So they need the support of the family in order to grow. One large fruit. So here, the wealth accumulation becomes as important as the family. There's a lot of responsibility. They're very benevolent. They want to share this wealth with everybody in the family. But this big responsibility is a little beyond their capacity. And there's a lot of issues that happen because of that. Now, a good example to come into your entry point into the cucurbitales would be women who give up careers initially and later work to support the family's financial burden. Hundreds of women all over the world who are doing this today. Next. Anjali, next one.
I am trying. Give me 1 second.
Yes, okay, no problem. So this gourd family are all your entire, pumpkin, your melons, your watermelons, all this, the whole group comes into this, including, so this is the ABCD of the cucurbitales family.
So here we see how the movement happens as we have come into these adult stage now of the Dillenidae. We still have activity and accumulation. They're now very, very busy, business oriented, and the bitterness has already started. They start off being bitter. It doesn't come later in life. They are miserly here. So the benevolence that we saw in the previous group, that benevolence has started coming down a little bit. Why? Because they're drying up inside. these emotions are getting over. Why are the emotions getting over? Because they're working so hard. These are workaholics. And what is pushing them to work so hard? The fear of poverty. This materialistic nature of theirs, but they are so scared that they will not have their resources. So they want to keep gaining as much as they can in life, and the giving is then becoming affected. And because this issue is there, the tension in their bodies, in their minds, the high tension is there, especially if they feel there is scarcity at any level. And this high tension leads to their irritability. They have lots of ideas. They want to do this, they want to do that. Very industrious, hardworking. We know that word again, diligent, keeps coming up. So that diligent nature is there. They will keep trying, they will keep pushing, but they are now slowly starting to get tired of all this work that they are doing. Back to you, Mother.
So the first is elatrium here, which is the squirting cucumber. That's very easy to remember. All their discharges are squirted out. It's a huge fever remedy. Where we give Rustox and we fail, please think of elatrium if it is part of the Dillenidae family. The worst damp weather, all kinds of fevers, whichever fever you want, worse chilly, worse dampness, worse chilly, and the squirting diarrhea. That will clinch elatrium for you. It works like magic. Next. The big remedy, colocynth of this family. Everybody knows colocynth. Everybody would have used it at some point or another for dysmenorrhea or pains or sciatica. So this looks so much like the watermelon, but is completely bitter. That is how it is a bitter cucurbitale. It is a bitter watermelon, bitter melon. So this is coming under late adult and infancy. They are constantly giving without any return. They're very basically mild people. They work for the family, taking care of the family, and they bend forward for the family. Please remember, colocynth bends forward for relief in all their joint pains. That's how you will always remember. So they bend forward for the family, whatever. All their anger is related to family conflicts. This anger and bitterness then just accumulates and just accumulates. Please go back. Just accumulates, and then they have indignation in the stomach, and this lies like a stone in the stomach. The colic is like a stone. Mouth is bitter. The neuralgias and reproductive system of both sexes are affected. They're a chilly remedy. Next. Then we have Cephalandra indica. This is a very Indian remedy. Everybody uses it in their cooking. Tindora, Tindley, Kovakai. This is the ivy gourd in English. So Cephalandra indica is the Latin name for it. Diabetes with emotion. There are 5 remedies, and this is one of them. With helonias, etc. I think Naxwamika, helonias, and others. In the beginning, they maintain with abundance. They will do a lot of work for everybody, give a lot. Later on, they become dry and they emaciate. There is a lot of burning, which is better with cold application. This is because the masculine elements are dominated now, very much like Bry. In diabetes, Bry, and if there's a burning pain, better cold, please think of Cephalandra indica. It works like magic. It's a very Indian remedy, and for today's Indian rampant diabetes that we have, this Abroma augusta, Cephalandra indica could be big remedies as constitutionals. Next. Then we have Momordica charantia. No child likes this, no bitter good. This also has a lot of explosiveness, but the explosiveness begins in the intestines itself. So they have the concomitant is very high gas and flatness with diarrhea, which comes out like a bunghole, almost like Gambogia and Rotontig and all. And there's a lot of bloatedness in the abdomen, which feels like full of water. In colocynth, it was like as though like heavy like a stone. Here it feels as though it's full of water. Similar kind of bloat, colics. Then we have Momordica balsamina. Because it's a climbing plant, dizziness, weak and crampiness becomes a very important point to distinguishing from colocynth. Then we have Lupha operculata, which is the sponge cucumber. It's a very interesting remedy where it's like a sponge. It absorbs everything, all the emotions. It absorbs all the water. and never shows it outside. They love to cook and care for everybody. They want to, the business is very important for them because they're financially usually dependent on their family for their earnings. So they don't like to be disturbed. Aversion to be disturbed is also part of the cucurbitales because they're busy earning. So here also they don't want to be disturbed because that earnings are important. They have to give back to the family. Big remedy for nasal polyps, bronchial asthma. They're better by cold air and love lemons. And they are emaciated with a ravenous appetite. Very close to bryonia usually in upper respiratory, but with these three differences. Cold air ameliorates, they love lemons, and they're emaciated with a ravenous appetite. Then we have bryonia. This is the king of cucurbitales. This is the remedy that signifies cucurbitales. Unfortunately, this is the other end of the spectrum. They are fast spreading plant like a weed. They can crawl over all obstacles, spread very far and wide. They are invasive, aggressive plant that can produce 3 vines at a time. If it cannot spread, it will grow and spread itself densely and cover whatever's below. It will not even allow sunlight to penetrate. It becomes so heavy, it can even kill the host plant. All parts of bryonia, if it rains, when it rains, they accumulate a lot of water so that they will not dry up in summer. Now, all parts of bryonia contain bryonin, which is so poisonous. Do you know that 40 berries are very lethal to kill a human being? This is the only vegetable fruit in the cucurbitale family that is not used for cooking because of its poisonous nature. They only talk of business. They want to grow very fast like the weed. They want to spread their businesses. They want to do multiple businesses. They have a lot of capacity for it. They hate to be disturbed. Time is money for them. Don't want to be disturbed here at all. Very, very materialistic and miserly. They want to hoard. Actually, they're doing it for the family. But somewhere along the way, the family is forgotten and business takes over them completely. They're driven by business. They're almost 80% masculine over here. The feminine element has dried up very, very badly. Everybody knows this, so I'm not going into the materia medica in a big way. This is a remedy that everybody uses from first year.
And very similar to calcarea floor. So we all know the calcarea floor also has that materialistic and the miserly qualities, but the calcarea group is not like the cucurbitales. It does not have the bitterness that the cucurbitales has.
The fear of poverty in calcarea floor is restricted and they are not able to go beyond one business. It's only one business that they're very cautious about. Whereas in bryonia, they spread their businesses. They want to spread as many branches as possible. Today here, tomorrow there, day after there. Oh, a businessman who says, I have 50 branches, and yet they want to earn more. That is bryonia. It's like the businessman who goes to the Taj for a business deal. Oh, I didn't have even the time to see the Taj. Oh, who cares? That is bryonia. Then we come to the next big family over here, the caparales. They move in the lower mature adult and into the old age. This is a huge family. This is a family that all of us use in everyday life almost. They are coming into increased masculine elements are present here, the late adult and old age. So they're fed up of the family. They're stuck in the past. The hardening of the body and mind has started. Now the weight of on their shoulders of the family is like a burden. It's like the weight of the cross on Jesus. The family burden is so much. That is how they call crucifere and the brassicaceae, which was the older names. All discharges are blocked. Nothing is flowing. The flow of water element is getting blocked completely. All the emotions are shutting down. Sadness, depression from this burden of responsibility of the family because they're still in the Dillenidae line. So family is still important, but they no longer want to be attached like how they are attached so much in the earlier rows. Here, the attachment is slowly moving out. Lot of old age issues, mentally, physically. Now there's a fear of women, femininity, and motherhood because that all represents water element, the feminine element, which they don't have any time for now. They're getting ready. These plants are now getting ready to evolve into the next subclass, which is all about the masculine element. This is the caparales family, the cabbage and the mustard family. Lot of vegetables that we use. This is a commercially produced vegetables. They're all shrubs and small plants. There are no more trees here. They've all grown. They've become smaller in size. So they're exhausted after nurturing and shouldering the burden of the family. This is the end of the feminine principle, the feminine principle domination now. This is the end. So I will just give you a quick, some remedies here in the caparales. The lepidium in the acute miasm, the Sinapis nigra typhoid, Sinapis alba, Iberis amara, cochlearia, Theocynamen rhodalin, Raphanus, Thalaspi bursum, Bunias. Everybody has used them. I'll just give you some quick therapeutics over here. With all this shouldering of the feeling of the family burden too much, with sinusitis, it is Sinapis nigra. With acidity, it is Sinapis alba. With heart ailments, it's Iberis. Just to give you a little sample of these remedies, because I think we're running out of time now. Next one. And Salicales is the willow family, the populous candicans, which everybody would have used, instant voice producers in speakers and singers, and Salix nigra. These are all part of the willow family. So with this, we come to the end of the Dillenidae family. I'd like to recap over here. So I have human development on one side, your inner ages. You have the plant families on the other side. There's womb, delineales and thiales, infancy, saraceniales and ebenales. So in the delineales, we saw hypericum. In saraceniales, in nepenthes, we saw drosera, toddler, and early childhood of the malwales. We saw many remedies of the malwales, including chocolate and Abel Moschus and Abram Augusta. Then we came into adolescence, primulales, cyclamen. Then there was mature adult with ericales, with all the big case of calmia, all the joint pain remedies. Then we had cucurbitales, bryonia family. Then you had the caparales, the cruciferae family, cabbage family. Then old age was again the caparales, and then the salicales. So with this, we come to the end of. So when it started off, when the mother started very enthusiastically pulling her children in the park, very, very enthusiastically, then they became a burden to her. And now in old age, that cart is empty. She doesn't want now anymore. Even children to her are too much. She'd rather just move out, be alone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Vishpala for her great inspiration and for coming today. Thank you so much, Dr. Vishpala. It means a lot to us.
Thank you so much. Great revision for me to do the whole thing so well. I didn't know how you could finish a Dillenidae family in just this short period, but you've done a remarkable job.
Thank you.
In a wonderful case. Thank you. Trio, which is a very good trio. We should repeat it often.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Satish, for your moderation. Thank you, Dr. Anjali, for painstakingly putting this PowerPoint together. Thank you, the entire editorial board of NJH. Thank you to my teacher, our teacher, the late Dr. Rangakrishnan. Thank you to all my friends, colleagues, and faculty at MLD, MHI, Bangalore, Bombay, National Academy of Homeopathy, Nagpur, Dr. Shekhar Algungi of Swara, Dr. Priya of Vitalia, Dr. Mahesh Gandhi, and my colleagues at ITC, and all you dear audience who have been hanging around and patiently listening and being very diligent about listening to the diligent Dillenidaes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anjali. Satish, thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Dr. Rama, Dr. Anjali. Actually, for this last 1 hour, I thought that I was in my college material. Actually,
I hope it was not boring. Our inspiration was Sarla Ben to make Materia Medica alive.
Without tears, yes, without tears. Yes, it was.
We have a question from we have a question from one of the group who want to know a little bit more about ericales. It's again a big group, and Dr. Rama, would you like to give us a little bit more insight onto ericales? Just in a quick 1 minute.
Is bitter. The ericales, as you are aware, has come into the mature adulthood. So they already are willingly have taking on the responsibility. Now responsibility of the family is much more. It's like, now you have not only your children to look after, maybe your elderly parents, elderly in-laws. So the responsibility of the family gets enlarged, the burden becomes more, the capacity is not so much. And then this expectation of somebody acknowledging their work never comes through. And so they become very, very bitter about it. And that's when all that pathology starts. And they still have a lot of emotional content because the feminine element is very high, less masculine content. And once that masculine content starts becoming more and more, and then the pathology becomes deeper and deeper, as you saw in the Calmia case.
Madam, after giving Calmia, could you able to reduce the allopathic medicines?
I haven't met her since then because she was insulin dependent. I don't think that would go. But her joint pains, definitely no more painkillers.
Yeah, I mean to say some blood reports and enlargement
Yes.
of the heart was there. Have you repeated the echocardiography and all that?
No, not yet, not yet. I'm waiting for her to come again, but she's very busy because one niece is getting married. So she's very, very busy. As you know, she's an Ericale. She's part of that family.
And second thing is that there are no ringworm and typhoid and malarial miasms. I don't understand. Only this is Rajan Shankaran form philosophies, which is never being
Yes,
accepted all over the world.
yes. I too had this kind of rigidity and reading NJH more and more and listening to Dr. Vishpala in a lot of the CMEs. And I began to,
Vishpala's mother, Sarvan Sonawala, was batchmate of Dr. Gaya and Dr. Samant.
Yes, very
yes,
true, very true. But you know, this miasm, we all had our reservation, and we all felt that we are going away from Hanuman, but we are not going anywhere
no,
from
no,
anywhere. We are not
no.
going anywhere from Hanuman. If Hanuman had been there, he would have. What has happened is that there were three miasm, then there were four, then there were five, and then there were nine. So it has to expand. But the
It's
thing
only
was that
four.
if
Up to Burnett, up to James Compton Burnett, it was only four. Rest all are made by Rajan Shankaranan. And Prakash Vakil always presented a paper on tongue and other things and moon
no,
phases.
but if you
And
look
it
at
was
it,
accepted all over the world.
no,
Rajan Shankaranan never presented a paper anywhere in the world. It's
everywhere
only
he's
made
presented.
by him.
Let's not go into that. But what
No,
I'm
see, madam, what is happening now? See, this Rama madam's daughter is the young BHMS. The young generation will get misguided.
no, no, there's no misguiding. This is all very clearly and logically explained from miasm where there is gaps. You know, you look at the other miasm, they are not covered by the first three. Look at them. I've been constantly, repeatedly telling in every seminar, every lecture that look at it, we have proper placement where it was not there. Now you look at leprous miasm. It is not covered by either soda or psychosis or tuberculosis or syphilis. What is the whole feeling in the leprous miasm is that I have nobody, I am completely rejected. You look at the state of the leprous miasm, and I have consistently used this miasm theory and the remedies in my practice with wonderful results. I gave some good mandragora cases last time, I think. That is the leprous miasm. I have now totally 10 mandragora cases, and all of them have them that this leprous feeling, and it is not covered by any of the other older miasm groups. And we have to accept something which is logical, which goes step by step, and where there are gaps. For example, if you take a very simple example, periodic table in the old days when I was in college, there were so many gaps, but the spaces were kept for them, and then they filled up. Today you look at the periodic table, it is almost full. It was not there long ago. So like that, we have to keep spaces for emotions and all the explanation that they give about each miasm. How it is, how is malaria so different from typhoid? How is psychotic so different from malaria? I mean, each one has its place, and you have to be open. You can't say that I will only go to 200 years back and do what they did. It's not like that. Nobody is going away from anywhere. We're just progressing, and you use it. You use it in practice, and if you fail, you come back to us. That's what Hanuman said. Come back to me when you are failure. We are saying the same thing. You try it and first understand a little bit of that explanation that's been given to you. Then go and use it, and then come back. It's a very, very nice thing. I'm telling you about this mandragora, for example, in Solanaceae family. It is one of the Solanaceae. We all know stramonium. We all know so much fears. We know hyosamum is similar to it, but much more shameless, and so on and so forth. But they are different miasms. Stramonium is acute. And then you have in that same family of Solanaceae, where you have a person who is completely rejected, completely beaten up. For example, one case was there of the child was beaten every day by the father. He saw the father coming, he would hide. Once the father broke his bedroom door and beat him up blue and black. And the whole thing was resolved with Mandragora, so much so that he who hated his father, even after the father died, he was dead and gone when he came for the thing. But after Mandragora, he even forgave his father, and he even in his garden he put a mandragora plant because he knew the remedy and every day worshipped it. I mean, where I did 15 years ago, I didn't even know mandragora as a remedy. I didn't know so many remedies. Why are they giving such good results? So you cannot go on saying that, you know, these are the miasms which are there and these are something else. It's not like that. Then you're stuck. You better take some psychotic remedies. You're so stuck and not moving at all. So we are only moving ahead with conviction, with showing you cases, not just talking in the air. Even in this, each webinar, we show you cases and we give you proof of the pudding, which is in the eating, no? If you tell me pudding is not nice because it's salty, but we never put salt, so how can you say it's salty? It is sweet. So when you taste that sweetness and see those results in practice, you will know that you have to go ahead with the system which works. I come from all schools, so I can tell you about each school. And I've done practice in each school, and still I can find better and better results. Isn't that saying something? At my stage in life, my age, my experience, if I can say it, why can't you? Okay, sorry for the lecture. But I firmly believe that there is nothing wrong. And the whole word, the same word was, in fact, I had discussion with Rajan, said, why didn't you use some other word so that we wouldn't have this fight of miasms every day? But he said, but it belongs to this miasm. So how can I use another word? It has to be connected to this. And he explained it very nicely. And he's keeping on explaining. And I'm also keeping on explaining. And all of us will keep on explaining who have understood it, who have practiced it, who have got results on that theory. Okay? So you try Mandragora once, okay, in a case, because it's a very common state to have, where you're completely rejected. It's not a, and with the fears and all of stramonium, which you know very well, if you combine these two, you give that remedy, if it is indicated, of course, and then tell me that the result didn't come.
Sir, I only have one request to you. Whom I forgot to thank was Dr. Chandrasekhar Rao, who's like who brought this entire PEM alive to me. Please attend one of his lectures and he will give you proof. He's a PhD in Materia Medica and he has married this PEM so beautifully with the old and the new Materia Medica so well. And he's giving you cases. Please attend one of his lectures, sir. You will be. Thank you.
You have to learn more, Pranav. All of us have to constantly learn more. Homeopathy.
I learn. I'm daily reading, and I have formed a Borivali Homeopathic Association.
I know, Pranav. I'm saying that you have to go into these other things.
Rajan was never a student of Gaikwad. I can tell you. I will tell you one thing. I don't want to tell in front of 60 people standing here. Otherwise, Saman sir has told me in '94 in his clinic something about his prescription. But forget it. All those things. I don't want. Sometimes when you
look, Pranav. I'm telling you, I'm today spending time with you because I think every time you bring up the same topic, and somewhere you will have to stop. You're doing this for the last 20 years with me also. So I'm just saying, do this. Attend one of our, attend our CMEs, attend when we start again and learn something and then go and practice it and then come and tell me, look, this was the case, this looked completely like this.
There are good things. Because by attending 2-3 seminars at Dadar and all that, I met Dr. Wahi sir from Delhi and I could come in touch with Ajit Kulkarni and all that.
I know all that. I'm just saying that you learn this system somewhere and at least practice a little bit. Today's talk of Rama's was very good. Now you go read the plant family, read the whole group of.
It was a good revision of lot of small remedies.
Yeah, so then they
all good points. Those are good points.
No, Pranav, listen to me. The same small remedies which you have used, now see the little larger use and use it, and then see if it fails you or works for you. I cannot say
what I'm saying, if a patient improves, the pathology has to improve. pathology has to improve. Patient improves, pathology has
Of
to
course, the
improve.
pathology has to improve, and we are showing everywhere where everything diabetes going down. This we have they are all clinical evidence based cases. She only told you the case is not yet complete. She's going to come back. Sometimes patients don't come back. You know, I
Tomorrow, if we present this case in a allopathy conference, you should be accepted.
yes, that we will do. We only present their cases which have all the clinical parameters turning back. We don't present just some case on just mental side. We do here. This is the homeopathic presentation. In the allopathic field, when we present differently. Okay, okay.
Sir, this,
Anyway, it was
as we said
nice.
in the beginning,
It was nice,
sir,
ma'am.
as we said in the beginning, this was a work in progress happening. We were sharing with you what we felt. We had learned so much and saw some cases in the clinic, and that's what we wanted to share with everybody.
And
It's
because
still a
the
work in
cases
progress.
in this particular family, we are learning now, so we have less cases. So we are sharing with you cases which have shown some great results, but not fully cured. We are not claiming fully cured. Okay, I think that's enough for.
Okay, ma'am. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good night,
Thank you, everybody.
everybody.
Thank you. Good night,
We have a
everybody.
great
Thank you.
Sunday. Thank you very much for
Yes.
patiently listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It's always nice to end it on a nice, aggressive and interesting
Positive.
discussion. This has
Positive.
fired up everybody to go and read a little bit more and try a little bit more and experiment for themselves. Try it. You know, that is how, as Dr. Vishpala is saying, her many years of experience, she has tried everything. So now we should also try. Let us also see how much we can learn in the time that God has given us in this wonderful world of homeopathy.
The homeopathy is the only one where to keep on growing.
Oh,
Everywhere
yes.
else is static.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you so
Continue
much.
the wonderful learning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sati,
Thank you,
thank you
Dr. Vishpala.
everybody for being here.
Thank
I
you.
really urged everybody in the last 1 hour, join. You're missing something very interesting. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take
Thank you.
care.
Are we meeting again, Vishpala?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sending a link.
Okay. Thank you.